What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the North Leeds Jitz podcast. This time on the show, we've got Professor Mike and myself, and also Moo the cat is somewhere wandering around, so you might see her off screen. And yeah, it's been a while since we've done a podcast, and I was quite surprised actually by the number of people who were asking me about it. Like, they were like, "What happened to the podcast? Where is it?" I'm like, "It's not died. It's been really busy." So yeah, podcast is still alive and well, and you can expect it to see it, going forward in the future. But there are just times when we get really busy and there's other projects that need doing, and sometimes the podcast is the one that's going to fall off. But it's very nice to hear from people that we keep them company on many a drive home. Or
yeah, I think there's real value in it, mate. I think there's value. I think it's predominantly our members who listen to the podcast, right? So it's an in-house thing, really. It's not like for inbound marketing or anything, although people will see us doing it. So I think it's an added piece of value that we ought to keep doing. I know you enjoy doing it. I enjoy being on and just chatting about jiu-jitsu. And I want to hear from everybody who does listen to tell us what you want it to look and sound like, because if it is for you, then it's right that you should tell us.
100%. So we've had some big changes since the last podcast in terms of around the academy. Basically, it was before Christmas break, so when people came in, they would have seen we did a reception again.
Yep,
that was pretty cool. I had a lot of nice feedback about that. Victor said he really liked it when he came to visit.
Yeah, no, it looks brilliant. It'd been bothering me for a long time, that wall as you walk. It's the first thing you see, and that first impression. We've got an aspiration. Been working really hard as a team. Perhaps we could talk about that a little bit, about what the future looks like for GBRL. And we've got aspirations to be a world-class facility, and it wasn't world-class. And I think the way we've done it, and Coach Kev's kind of done it, I think it looks great. We're about to put a big flat screen TV in behind with signage, which will elevate the experience again. So all things like seminars and events and promotions, we can then display for everybody as you walk into the academy. So I think little bits at a time, but definitely a step forward. And we've put the heaters in. Yeah. So that's made a big difference to how the space feels. And what else? And then we're kind of looking at other bigger projects and plans to potentially create more space, but that a lot of that will come down to cost because it's not cheap.
Yeah, I think the heaters were a big one for everyone. Obviously, we had the radiators around the academy and the things that got installed when we first opened, but these have had a big difference, especially on the tail end of winter now, where people are tired of being cold.
It's just infrared, right? So it's heating the individual rather than heating the air. So these things were trying to heat the air, but there's no doors in here. So it's just like a 3,000 square foot space. There's no way it's going to heat it. Well, that's heating the individual, so much like the infrared sauna is. So it's way more efficient and just feels better.
Yeah. So we also had the timetable changed a lot.
Loads more classes.
Yeah, more classes every day. Which is, if you wanted to train jiu-jitsu before on a weekday, you had 2 classes really. And now you've got...
On a morning.
A morning, yeah. And then now you've got all 5 weekdays and an early Saturday. We've taken the Saturday earlier, and now you've got live training after that as well. So I think for that morning crew, it's been really valuable. And I think we'll see in the future and going forwards, just like from now, people who can just train solely on mornings. Like, you don't have to, shift your timetable to get in on an afternoon or an evening, because everything you need jiu-jitsu wise is available for you, in those early hours if you're that kind of person.
Yeah, there's live training after every class as well, which is a great addition. So, I mean, a really good example of that would be Joe Gaunt. So, here's Moo the cat. So Joe, is a busy guy, runs a big busy business, big family. He can only train in the morning. So I think it's been transformational for him and his jiu-jitsu, really, to be able to get in 3, 4, 5 times a week if you can, rather than just the 2. Because, someone will come up on the Tuesday and then you couldn't do it, and then you've only got Thursday. So I think that's good. I like the shift to a slightly earlier Saturday class. Not only is that getting adults in and out of the academy for the kids' classes, but it's spaced the kids' classes out a little bit. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's been great, and we've been growing our coaches, right? So that's been a lot of the work, really, is trying to create the infrastructure to enable us to deliver that world-class offering all the time. So today, for instance, Coach Kev's away. So Coach Ben was supposed to be covering the class. He had got dragged away on a personal issue. So Coach Farouk stepped in. I came in, and we can still deliver an amazing class. So we've got that resilience now.
Yeah. And the pricing went up for most members. Obviously not the founder members, but that was it was a big thing for us because we thought about it.
No one likes putting the prices up, man.
Yeah. We thought about it for months, and we wanted to give people months in advance to it just felt like the right thing to do, not to spring it on anyone, which we did. And I don't think we really had too much pushback or complaining about it, really.
I don't think there was any. I think we lost some students who felt that they couldn't bridge the gap between where it was and where it is now. I mean, it's £4 a week for adults, addition. But if you look at that and then look at all the other classes that you've got, actually, it's pretty good value.
Yeah.
But I understand that there's a tipping point for some people. We were talking off air about cost of living crisis now that's still biting the budgets today, right, as we're recording this. And families are struggling. I've noticed it in our family. For a while we were saying, I'm not sure we're feeling this cost of living crisis. And then the last few months we're like, where's all our money going? And everything's just more expensive. So I get it. Like we're not the cheapest in the town, in the city, probably the most expensive, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you've got to look at what that value is. You can go and get cheaper jiu-jitsu elsewhere, no problem. But you've got to question, I would suggest, the value you put on it. So have you got access to every single class that you need? Have you got access to that amazing community? Have you got access to all those other events? Have you got access to things like this? I think we're still about right for pricing.
Yeah, I think, Tom Patterson, Coach Tom, messaged me a couple of weeks ago about how he's got a friend who trains at another GB, and I happen to know their prices, and I think next month goes up to £85 a month. And then, but their class offering is like nowhere near kind of what we've got. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're a great academy and everything, but if you just go like cost per available class tier, I think still we're really good value for money.
Yeah, and I think, it's just reminding people that you get greater value the more you come.
Yeah.
So like, if it was me and I'm investing in, and that's the way to view it, I'd suggest, it's an investment in yourself for jiu-jitsu. And you're investing £105 a month as an adult, or whatever it is as a kid, get down to as many classes as you possibly can, because then the classes end up being like ridiculously cheap. And your jiu-jitsu gets better quicker and everything else. So yeah, we're always going to lose a few people around the periphery when those changes happen. But actually, we're all right with that, because we'd like to grow out the core community within GBRL who we know love what we do and know to support everybody else. And a great example of that was in January. So we offered annual memberships, at the old price before the price change. And I honestly thought it was like a last minute decision. I thought, let's just see. And I honestly thought we'd get like 3 or 4. It was like 30 or 40 people.
Yeah.
So just a bit of a heads up, we're going to be looking in January every year now to do some kind of flash sale. So if you are committed to your jiu-jitsu and you are looking for the best value, then we'll be offering a select number of annual memberships and lifetime memberships every year, where you can come in within a very small window. So there'll be some scarcity around it, and you can grab yourself that bargain. And we hope that just drives people to invest for the whole year rather than month to month.
And then from us, it's like, to make that core group of people, we just need to make sure we're always providing the best experience, which is what that extra bit of money that comes into us kind of goes towards. So,
well, people should be saying that, right? It's not lining T and my pockets, like, far from it. I don't think we've had a pay rise since we started. So it's things like the reception, it's the heaters, it's the more coaches, it's the more classes, it's the potential opportunities to scale out and grow even more. So we've got plans potentially to look at the gents changing room next and look how we might be able to improve the shower offering there and the toilet facilities. And so there's loads of great plans. Excited.
Thought something was, because we asked for a lot of Google reviews last week, and something that was it was cool, and also I was saying in the team meeting, we've had a lot of members who have been here for 3 years now. I'm thinking of like Tom Mackenzie Little, for instance, wrote a review for us already like 2.5 years ago. And then you could see your response to the one from two odd years ago. But it was his new kind of review that he just did another one for us. Obviously now he's got his daughter training the tiny champions as well. So you see these people who've been with us, so long, and they were really liking it 2.5 years ago, and now, down the line, they're still really enjoying it and getting even more from it. So that's awesome to see.
Yeah, one of the things with the Google reviews, because I reply to all of them, and I make sure I do read them and reply to them properly, because I think if people have taken the time to do it, then we ought to listen to what they've got to say. And I'm really grateful for everyone who's done one. If you haven't done a Google review for us, please do one, because it does help us as a business. And it takes you 2 minutes. What was really evident to me was how much people care about this place and how much they value it. It's very easy to do a Google review and just put great, 5 stars. But people like Del and Annabelle had written really long, thoughtful pieces, really, of written work, and I thought that was amazing to see. And that I think, like I say, demonstrates the connection we have to those students. It's not just a place they come and train. They actually care about it, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yep. We put out some long pieces of work, the guidebooks, which I think had their inception just before you went on the road, really.
Yeah. It's a project you've been working for a long time.
Yeah. So First Stripe is all around how it's mainly tailored towards new members, because a lot of that information you'll gain through just osmosis over the course of a few months. But when you're a new member, and it's easy to forget once you've a few months in, you don't know anything. So you don't know what an attendance card is, or where it is, or where you should put your sliders, or should you be bound onto their mats? Should you do all these kind of things? How you book onto classes, and what classes are for you, and what classes can you go to, and what classes can you not go to? Seems simple once you're a couple months in, but those are like genuine concerns and fears of new people coming into the academy. And it's our job to make sure all those fears are dispelled, because let's be honest, jiu-jitsu is tough enough without having to worry about all the other stuff. So it's just a way for new members to have a full or comprehensive guide. So whenever they're a bit concerned about something, they can be like, oh, look, I'll just check this. And the answer's probably in there. And if it's not, you can just come and ask us. So I think that's a really nice thing that I don't think many academies will offer. None that I know of, at least.
So there's no academies offering stuff like that.
Yeah. So, all those new students coming in, especially if you're listening to this on the week it comes out and you're a new student, definitely read through that, because it's going to help you so much. And then for more experienced students, I think the Train Safe Guide is really important, because you've got to, say you got to blue belt and now you don't know what you can do and can't do in the academy. There's some dangerous takedowns. Maybe you're a bit nervous. I know a lot of students actually are very nervous about the standing position. And it's something I kind of coach them to try and do, even if they just stand up just to pull guard straight away. I'm fine with it, but let's start standing. And obviously, as we've talked about many times on this podcast, there's an increased risk when you're in the standing position. How can we mitigate as much risk as possible, whether it's on the floor or standing, or just to do with hygiene and stuff like that in the academy? Because from a selfish business standpoint, we don't want people to get injured, because then they're going to leave or freeze their memberships. And just from a caring standpoint, obviously, we don't want people to get injured, because our members, especially for me, are like some of my best friends. And then selfish again, I don't want them to injure me. So, it seems like an obvious kind of thing to do, to outline, hey, doing a flying scissor takedown isn't acceptable in the academy. But unless someone tells you and you see an Instagram reel, you're like, oh, that works. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And then all of a sudden, someone's knee's gone. You feel like a dick because you've injured someone.
We had it on Monday. Like, it came out last week, and a newish member was just done contact sport before, was kind of on a straight footlock position but reaped the knee, and just didn't know what that meant. Mm-hmm. So it's a great opportunity to almost fast track your understanding of jiu-jitsu, these resources. And I think I have to say to you, it's a phenomenal piece of work, mate. I know it's taken you a long time, and every team meeting and every strategy meeting would be like, where's the guidebook? And you wanted to kind of make it a bound physical document, which we will do. But I think it was the right decision to release it. And if you've not seen it, you can find the links to it in the WhatsApp chats. It is comprehensive. and looks phenomenal.
Yeah, I really wanted to go into everything I could think of from, and every time there's an injury now, I'm like, if they had the training tape, they might have not. Because I think, when Tom brought, and I said to him on the day, he, held onto a grip too long. And he knew he shouldn't, hold onto the grip too long anyway, but, in the melee of it, he did. And that's when, when someone tried to really pop it off and he had to really hold it, that's when he injured his finger. And there's a whole part about the acceptance principle. And, sometimes it's better to accept something and fight another day than it is to, hold on and potentially risk an injury.
Well, I don't think there's many. That's a great point. I don't think there's many occasions where you would want to hold on. So if you roll with T&I, I'm sure when you go to pop our grips, you'll feel just let go.
Yeah, I think that's when you see a lot of the jiu-jitsu professionals who won't accept grip breaks at all, and they have all the crazy knuckles and stuff like that. And but yeah, I think in fact I was watching a video. Kevin Park, who's a really good yellow belt from Gracie Barra Bondi. And he was injured in a competition recently because a kid tried to double under stack him, but Kevin had double inside scoop grips. So when someone stands up with screw grip and you put both hands inside rather than just grabbing the ankles on the outside.
You get trapped in there, man.
Yeah, you can't escape your neck. So when the kid tried to start stacking him, and the kid was bouncing him a bit on the neck, but Kevin couldn't escape his neck other side because he had both arms in. And one, it was bad from the top kid to slam him down like that. But also, if Kevin knew maybe that you don't take two hands inside because you can't escape your neck either side. Maybe there's a preventing an injury. And those are the little things. I think through osmosis in the academy again, you probably learn eventually by the time you're a blue belt, you don't reap the knee in because you've done some single leg X classes. Or you learn, okay, you're not allowed to heel hook in the gi. Some of those are more obvious, and some are very subtle. For new students coming in, just knowing, oh right, before even you come to week whichever, and you're doing turtle, all right, I shouldn't pull someone directly to 6 o'clock because it can hurt their knees or ankles. So yeah, I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of myself in a way as well. In terms of, because I think it will have an impact where even if just one person now doesn't get injured because of that guy gets made, then it's totally worth it.
But you know what? I was looking at our Google performance the other day. I know you check it, but it came through on email. And pretty much consistently since we opened, the top performing page on our website is common injuries in BJJ.
Yeah.
It's what everyone's looking for because they're a little bit scared about it. I think so. This is really going to help. The other thing I think that's really important, I think it'll be a pivotal change, hopefully, for this cadre of students is, and we were chatting about this yesterday, actually, after GB3. So it's worth just recognising, if you've been here since we opened, or maybe for the last 2 years, there'll be not many other academies in the world, I'd suggest, where all the students start at the same time. It's quite a unique thing. I've been to scores of academies around the world, and you walk in and there's purple belts and brown belts and black belts and everyone in between. We had me, and then you, and then all white belts. And that is unique. And what's happened over those last 2 or 3 years is that group of students have become really close. And you notice it in GB2 classes, where we've got blue belts and white belts, high-ranking white belts. The blue belts tend to stay within their own little group because they're the mates, right? And the white belts struggle to integrate. And I think it's something that we've recognised, and I think the guidebook will help just get people a bit closer to the centre. Again, it's so important because if we don't do that, we've noticed in terms of our data, and Wade does a great job looking at this for us, people tend to leave around 2, 3, 4 stripe white belt.
Yeah.
That's the big jumping off point. So if we can prevent that, because you've got more information and you feel more connected, it's going to be a benefit to everyone.
Yeah, and there is such a strong group of blue belts that that Monday night GB2. Now we're looking to change it to a GB3, which is nice for those guys because it's another level of skill development that they can reach. So again, I think even since the break, we've been very adaptive, really, because we had released the timetable, and then we were like, well, actually, it might work better if, I think we got some feedback on the MOT that, some live training in the morning would be good. So we kind of adapted to that. And then we see, 90% of the GB2 classes blue belts. Will this be better as a GB3? Let's adapt to that. So I think whilst as a GB Academy and the Jiu-Jitsu school were rather big, but I think we still get to have the benefit of being a smaller business and adapting to the members' needs.
Yeah, and so like to that point, I think if you've got any suggestions, like you should raise them. Yeah. You don't have to wait for the MOT. You know, if you think actually that'd be really good if we did this, there's some really good. Let us know. There's some really good potential changes to the kids' timetable, which would be like phenomenal if we could staff it. And that's the key, really, for us. It's like we don't want to stretch ourselves too thin where the experience gets diluted because coaches. We need to grow out our coaches again. Yeah,
and that's something I'm real passionate about starting at the moment. So yeah, I've been hounding a few coaches like Ben and Frosty, like you should teach some kids classes, you know. But that'd be amazing if we could implement that. You know, essentially it's 6 kids classes a night on average would be with the advanced and normal classes. So
yeah, we're looking to just give you a bit of a heads up, changing slightly the kids' age brackets to mirror the GB method globally. So at the moment, we combine our juniors and teens into one program, junior and teens. We would separate those out. So what that means is LC1s would no longer be 5 to 7, it'd be 5 and 6, which is really important because, again, we've noticed through the data that, you know, once those kids develop and mature around 7, perhaps they're not big enough physically to move into the LC2, they're certainly not old enough, but they're ready to do it, they want to do it. And I think they can get a bit bored just doing the same games. So it's going to have a really big impact, I think, on the kids program going forward. One thing I do want to say about coaching, T, is, we've discussed this briefly as directors, but we are really keen to look at what it might look like for some of our coaches to end up running their own schools in and around the Leeds area. So if you are someone who is either coaching right now or not, but love jiu-jitsu so much that you'd say, right, I'd actually want to work part-time as a coach for us, or a bit like Coach Kev does, or you'd write one day to run your own school, then you should come speak to us, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Right, shall we get on to some questions that came in?
Yes.
All right. Okay, first one from Luke Birch. Any tips for coming back after an injury layoff when you feel like you are starting again?
Don't put off coming back. Because you've got to kind of try out jiu-jitsu again to see where the limitations are around that injury. There'll be a natural hesitancy to come back because you'd be scared or nervous around that particular injury. But the only way you're going to know is to do it. So what I would do is as soon as you feel you're able to do some jiu-jitsu, I would come back. Even before that, I'd say, come and watch some classes. Tom Broughton's really, really great at this. So whenever he's injured a lot, Tom, bless him, he comes and watches classes. And that commitment to his jiu-jitsu is really great because, you'll naturally take in information and you'll see people make mistakes and you'll clock it. And you'll see people do great stuff and you'll clock it. And it really helps you maintain that connection and development. So I'd say keep coming to classes, come back as soon as you possibly can, even if that means you can only do the warm-up or you can only do certain techniques and you don't do live training. And just start to dip your toe back into it. You don't need to come back in and then roll 6 rounds on night 1. You need to come back in gradually. But the longer you stay away, understand that it's way harder to come back. So just keep connected and come back in as quick as you can would be my advice.
Yeah, I'd just reiterate all of that and then I'd say, don't have too many expectations of yourself. Don't come in feeling like you have to be competitive with the people that you were competitive with before or anything like that. Just, it's your journey. So make the most of your time here. And like Professor Mike says, any student that wanted to come to class, but they're like, I can't, my leg's busted. I can't do anything to do with a closed guard. I'll give you like some kind of workaround. If you want to sit butterfly guard and work arm drags when it's your turn, that's fine.
Great.
And I think sometimes giving people a little push. I think when it comes to your own injuries, everyone's a bit more hesitant than if it was giving other people advice. But I think usually it's the other people that tend to be right. So look at Coach Alberto, for instance, had 4 months off of training, and it was only when me and you had a quick chat with him. You're like, get back on the mats. You don't have to do specific training. You just come and do the class. Like, he was like, okay. And then I've seen him after a couple of classes now. He's been like, I love it, you know. So you're always gonna, because it's your own body, your own pain. You're always gonna err on the side of caution because you want to look after yourself, of course. But you probably hold yourself back a little bit more than you need to. And if you do speak to your coach and just tailor the class a little bit to work around your injury, then you can come and you can still get a great experience and have a great time and see your mates and feel like you're doing a bit of jiu-jitsu again.
Yeah. So the other thing I would say, just to pick up on the point, one of the points you made there, mate, is about comparing yourself to others. When you come back, accept that if you've had time off, the people who haven't had time off will have progressed. So if you're used to standing next to Jimmy in the line and you're both 3-stripe white belts and you come back and Jimmy's now a 4-stripe white belt and he's kicking your ass, you've been off for 4 months, that's going to happen.
Not Jim Munton, though.
Not Jim Munton, no, definitely.
He'll still be where he was.
Yeah, man. So, so to be mindful of that, don't compare yourself to anyone else. It says it by the door, doesn't it? And also, like, if you do get injured and you go to see your GP or a physio or anything like that who doesn't intimately understand jiu-jitsu, they're going to say minimum dose of rest is 6 weeks. And it's a cardboard cutout for pretty much every injury. They'll say 6 to 12 weeks. And if you go, I must now be off for 6 weeks, you'll freeze your membership, you'll go cold, and then you'll come back. You could have come back after 3, maybe, or 4, or 2, and done a little bit. So I'm not saying don't listen to your doctor. I'm saying you know your body better than anyone else. And the only way to really know is to come back and try it. And don't think that as soon as you get injured, you have to freeze your membership. You don't. It might be just a week you need off. A little bit of a twisted finger, tape it together. Ben Griffiths is always coming in with his hands taped to bits.
Yeah.
And then continue training.
Yeah, like on the Train Safe guide, there are some injuries that are inevitable. You are going to catch a mat burn. Every now and again, you might have a bit of you might shoot in on a takedown and land a little bit hard on your knee. These are part and parcel of a combat sport, really. And everyone who does jiu-jitsu, the probably hundreds of thousands of people, have agreed that the benefits we get from jiu-jitsu far outweigh the the chance that we get these kind of smaller little injuries and stuff like that. So embrace the times and really enjoy the times when you're not injured. I think, was it you were telling me when I was a white belt, one of the Gracies was saying, like, there will be a day where you can't train, like, for whatever reason, you got a real bad injury, or you're ill, or you got family commitments, and you'll really want to train. Yeah. So on the nights that you can train, but you just don't want to train, you have to train.
Yeah, 100%. I was listening to someone this morning, one of my coach for my S&C program, and he was saying about motivation changing. You can't just rely on motivation to want to come and train. There's going to be days when you don't want to, particularly around this time of year where it's miserable and cold and wet and dark. We see particularly the morning classes, it's so hard for a student to get up at 5:30, put a cold gi on, wander into the academy, maybe walk here, get the bus, and then come train. Like, it's so hard. But the days you don't want to come are the days you have to come. Not only because if you don't do that, then you're going to have time off the mat. But you're also, every time you're doing it, you're proving to yourself that you're more capable than you think. Just like, I'm tired, I've had a hard day at work, I'm going to give jiu-jitsu a miss. That's the night you say, I'm tired, been at work all day, I want to miss jiu-jitsu, but I'm going to go. And the growth, not just in... And it's funny because those nights, they're always the best nights. And that's where all the growth is, not only on the mat, but also, within yourself. So prove to yourself that you're more capable than you think, man. Next question, what's your A game standing to submission? So if we're going to competition, what's our... What would be the plan? Well, I always pulled guard in competition. Not when I was like white belt, blue belt, but certainly purple belt and beyond. I would always pull guard because there are people out there who study takedowns, and you might be up against a judo black belt as a blue belt. Like, you're not going to win that standing exchange. And the worst outcome for me would be to go from standing to bottom pinned. Like, they've already got 5 points on you, and you are now struggling to get out. And you're going to have a massive adrenaline dump, and you're going to struggle to get out of that position. So I always pull guard if it's me. And I'd be looking to try to, with that angle I've created, come round for that armbar straight away, or the triangle. So looking to re-pummel the leg, catch the triangle real quick as the posture's broken, or to spin all the way around to that armbar. And I think that is one of the quickest, most efficient and safest submissions I find.
I think statistically, pulling guard, you tend to win more matches.
Is that right?
Yeah. There's I can't remember the website name, but they do loads of jiu-jitsu statistics off of competitions. That's cool. I'm really not sure if I have like an A game. I feel it switches every kind of 6 months, just like what I'm trying to focus on. But in general, I'd say I'd probably try to do an ankle pick. Passing wise, maybe Toriando or a over-under pass. And then it's either go into Kimura side triangle or mount and then see what I can get from there. But in general, I really steer away from having favourite things because I think it stagnates your game in terms of learning new skills. So I usually focus on things for about 6 months, a year, and then try and do something else.
Yeah, me too. I think I've been saying a lot to students, and you'll have, I sound like a broken record, but the kind of 3 phases of jiu-jitsu: safety, position, submission. I think we're going, from that question, you're going from a standing position where you've not got great position, potentially, it's 50-50, trying to go straight to a submission. You've got to stay safe first. There's no point committing to something and then leaving yourself open. And I'd suggest that you'd want to get to a position of positional dominance before you start hunting the submission, unless you're doing some kind of flying attack, which isn't allowed in our academy, for safety reasons. So just think about it in that way. Remain safe, get to a position of dominance, and then start looking at submissions. It would be my advice. I'm going to have to run to the loo, T.
Sure. I mean, we have
Listeners
one more.
to the show will know that I can't last a full podcast.
There is one more question if you just want to round it out.
Go on then.
Cool. It's an easy one. What's your favourite gi colour from Ruby?
Gi collar?
Yeah.
Well, we only allow white or blue gis in this academy, so it'd be one of the two. Yeah, I know you like a white gi, don't you?
I'm white gi only.
Yeah,
White gi supremacist.
It depends how I feel. So in the office, I've got like 10 gis, 5 blue, 5 white. It depends how I feel. If T's on the mat, I'll probably wear a blue gi, so we look a bit different.
Usually if I'm asking you to record something, I ask you to wear a white gi.
Yeah.
Because it helps in the contrast of the mats.
And it's a kind of a purer colour, right? There's also a fit thing as well, so I don't know if it's the same now for gis, but certainly when we used to have the thicker weave gis, the corral gis back in the day, if the gi was dyed, it would be a tighter weave. So the fit might be slightly different. So if you're wearing a white gi that's just that tiny bit too baggy, if you got the blue version, it could fit you perfectly, and vice versa. So just look out for that. If I had to choose, I'll go blue.
I'm going white. If there was any colour,
Never blue and white.
never mixed rig. If you were allowed any other colours, would you wear other colour gis?
I used to compete in a black gi. So I used to go for a tatami kind of zero gi because I was really close on weight all the time at lightweight. So I'd competed in a black gi a few times back before Gracie Barr kind of mandated it was. And even then, actually, I would just put patches onto that gi because I just felt a bit better in it. It felt almost like a bit of a suit of armour. So you have your favourite gi and it's like, this is the one I feel sharp in.
I think for me, I like the white gi because it looks best on pictures. And also it has the most contrast once you're not a white belt.
Yeah. Do you like ripstop pants or cotton pants?
Ripstop.
I think so.
Yeah. I prefer ripstop everything, to be honest.
Yeah, you wear the train light gi, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the cotton pants can get quite baggy and they can lose the shape. And a ripstop seems to be a little bit more contoured.
Yeah, a lot of my cotton gi pants, I've not seen many happen nowadays, but they'd always used to rip kind of around here.
That's right.
But the ripstop are just they're proper hard wearing. So, and I think the biggest reason is they're just much quicker to dry. So
yeah, if you're training a lot.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I'd say about gis is it's an investment, I know, but there's nothing you're going to do out there as a sport or a skill that's not going to require some kind of personal investment. Even if you're playing five-a-side with your mates, you're going to have to buy a pair of boots, some shin pads, whatever, a kit. So every now and again, do treat yourself to a new gi. It does just freshen up how you feel.
Yeah.
You do look a little bit better, a bit cleaner. There's people wandering around our academy with still the same gis they got on day one, the yellow.
Yeah.
And, you know, just think about what that feels or looks like to your partner as well. So you'll have noticed a lot of our lead coaches walking around in brand new shiny gis. Mike and Ben had theirs on Monday night. And that's because once one of our coaches passes through their ICP and is kind of free to go and lead coach for us, we buy them all a new gi as a celebration of that. So
it might be already in first stripe, I can't quite remember, but maybe there's a bit of content to be done around how to wash your gi, because I know for some people, like, I know, I'm going to call her out, Veronica Schuder might leave her gi until there's an appropriate amount of laundry to do before you wash your gi. I'm like, no, you just stick it straight into the washing
the
machine.
bacteria is just growing, particularly in the weave.
Yeah, that's when the gi start to go more yellow, I think, when people leave them too long to wash and they start to off colour.
One tip for that, if you do find that you've got a gi that's just got that smell, particularly when you heat up, a lot of the times you'll under the armpits or in your rash guard, it'll smell clean, you'll heat up and then the bacteria gets released. You can use things like Napisan, which is like you can put it in with the wash and use it for babies' clothes to sterilise it. That works really well just to freshen up and take all the bacteria away.
Nice. You get your black belt in laundry by the time you're a black belt as well.
You do. Yeah, I mean, I don't wash my belt either. I know some people do. Do you wash yours?
I do, not as often as I should, but every now and again I'll stick it in the machine, maybe once a month, but
just to fade it out a little bit.
Just to make it, I get the sandpaper.
Yeah. I have. See, my black belt, it's like literally coming apart now. It's turned into a white belt again, which is interesting.
All right, well, I've got time so you can go to the toilet.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you everyone, and hopefully we'll see you next week.